18 years ago. My ex-wife cheated on me and got pregnant with twins. She told them I was their father who abandoned them. Now they're 18, found their real dad, and are suing her. They want me to testify. I, 52 male, never thought I'd be posting on here, but recent events have left me completely stunned, and I honestly don't know how to process everything that's happening. I apologize in advance for the long post, but I need to get this off my chest. Maybe getting some outside perspective will help. My ex-wife, 49 female, and I got married when we were both 24. We were college sweethearts and dated for 4 years before tying the knot. And honestly, I thought we had a great relationship. For the first 10 years of our marriage, everything seemed perfect. We both had good careers. I worked in engineering and she's in marketing. We traveled, enjoyed our hobbies together, and had a great circle of friends and were financially stable. The only real shadow on our otherwise happy life was that we'd been trying to have kids for about 5 years with no success. We went through fertility testing, and that's when I found out I had a low sperm count. The doctor told us natural conception was unlikely, and if we really wanted kids, we'd have to consider other options. We had a lot of long discussions about what to do. We looked into IVF, adoption, using a sperm donor, or even deciding to remain childless. My wife was adamant about having biological children and pushed hard for using a donor. I had some hesitations, but I could see how much it meant to her, so I eventually agreed. We were in the early stages of looking into sperm banks and legal aspects when everything fell apart. One day, I came home early from a business trip. A last-minute meeting got canceled, and I figured I'd surprise my wife. Instead, I was the one who was surprised. I walked into our bedroom and found her in bed with a guy from her office. I was completely blindsided. I just stood there frozen, unable to even comprehend what I was seeing. When she realized I was there, she didn't even try to hide it. She didn't panic and didn't scramble for an excuse. She just sighed and looked at me like I was the one who had walked in at the wrong time. The guy hurriedly got dressed and left without saying a word. I finally managed to ask her what the hell was going on, and that's when she dropped the bombshell. She admitted they had been having an affair for 6 months, but what really broke me was when she told me she had been taking matters into her own hands because she wanted to get pregnant. She claimed this was a more natural solution than using a sperm bank and acted like she was doing us both a favor. She actually had the audacity to justify her cheating as a way to solve our fertility problems. I was too shocked to even process what she was saying. I didn't argue, I didn't yell. I just turned around, grabbed some clothes, and walked out. I stayed with a friend that night and filed for divorce the following week. During the divorce, she kept calling and texting, switching between apologizing and claiming I was overreacting. One minute she was begging me to come back, and the next she was justifying her actions, saying we both wanted kids, and this was just a practical solution. She even had the nerve to suggest that if she wasn't pregnant, we could still work things out. But if she was pregnant, then wasn't this what we wanted anyway? As if her cheating somehow didn't count because a baby might be involved. The divorce was finalized in 3 months. I wanted a clean break and didn't fight too hard over assets. We split things pretty evenly, sold our house, and went our separate ways. I moved to a different city about 2 hours away to start fresh. Then, 2 months after the divorce, she called me out of the blue. She told me she was pregnant with twins and, get this, their biological father, the guy she cheated with, wanted nothing to do with them. Then she asked me if I would come back and be their father since I had wanted kids anyway. I almost laughed at how ridiculous the request was. I told her she made her choices and that I had moved on with my life. That was the end of it. For a while at least. 7 months later, the twins were born. I had zero contact with her or them. About a year after they were born, she reached out again, asking if I'd reconsider being in their lives. Again, I refused. I reminded her that we were divorced and that the children had a biological father who should step up. This continued for years. Every so often, she'd send messages with updates about the twins, send pictures I never asked for, and hint that she regretted her choices. She'd say things like, "They need a father figure," or, "They keep asking about you." Each time I reminded her that I was not their father, I had no obligation to them, and she needed to stop reaching out. Then, when the twins were around 6 years old, things took a really bizarre turn. She called me saying she had told the twins that I was their real father, but that I had abandoned them before they were born. She justified this by saying it was easier than explaining that their biological dad didn't want them. I was beyond furious. I told her she was damaging those kids with her lies, and that if she didn't stop, I would take legal action. She backed off for a while after that. I thought maybe she'd finally gotten the message. Fast forward to about 4 years ago, when the twins were 14. One day, I received 2 friend requests on Facebook from profiles with my ex's last name. I immediately had a bad feeling and suspected they were the twins. I I declined both requests, hoping that would be the end of it. But then I got a direct message from one of them. The message started with Dad, and asked why I didn't want anything to do with them. My heart sank. My ex was still perpetuating the lie that I was their biological father. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I contacted my lawyer to get advice on how to handle the situation. On my lawyer's advice, I sent a firm but polite message to both teens, explaining that there had been a misunderstanding, that I was not their biological father, and that they should talk to their mother about their parentage. I also contacted my ex and told her to stop this charade immediately, or I would take legal action for defamation and emotional distress. My ex called me in tears, begging me not to ruin her relationship with her kids. She admitted she had told them I was their father because their actual biological father, her former affair partner, had made it clear he wanted no part in raising children. She claimed she had tried to contact him multiple times over the years, but he had moved to another state and blocked her. She said the twins had been asking about their father more persistently as they got older, and she had panicked and told them it was me. I felt terrible for these innocent kids caught in their mother's web of lies, but I was firm. I would not perpetuate the lie, and she needed to tell them the truth. I also suggested she seek child support from their actual father through legal channels. She reluctantly agreed to tell them the truth, and I thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. About a month later, I got another message from one of the twins saying they didn't believe what their mother had told them and asking for a DNA test to prove I was their father. They said their mother had shown them old photos of us together, from before the twins were even conceived, and convinced them I was lying to avoid responsibility. I spoke with my lawyer again, who advised me to agree to the DNA test to put this to rest once and for all. I agreed to the test, which of course came back confirming I was not their biological father. I hoped this would be the end of the matter, but somehow my ex spun this into me being cruel for insisting on the test rather than just being their dad anyway. The twins stopped contacting me after that, and I assumed they were processing the truth and dealing with their mother about it. Life went on. I eventually remarried to a wonderful woman 6 years ago, and we have 2 adopted children now. I had put the whole situation with my ex and her twins behind me, focusing on my new family and life. That all changed last week when I was served with legal papers. The twins, now 18, are suing my ex for emotional distress, fraud, and a host of other charges related to her lies about their paternity. Apparently, as soon as they turned 18, they hired a private investigator who tracked down their biological father. The PI discovered that, contrary to my ex's claims, their bio dad hadn't disappeared or refused contact. My ex had never actually told him she was pregnant or that he had children. When the twins confronted their biological father with this information, he was shocked to learn he had children. He admitted to the affair with my ex, but said she had never contacted him about a pregnancy. In fact, he claimed my ex had told him she was in an open marriage, another lie, and when he discovered she was actually married to me, he ended things. He had moved away for a job opportunity, not to escape responsibility. And the most shocking part? The twins' biological father has apparently expressed interest in building a relationship with them now that he knows they exist. He's married with 3 other children, and while obviously cautious, he's not rejecting them outright. Now my ex is blowing up my phone, blaming me for this situation. She claims I should have just played along and been the twins' father figure since their biological father wasn't in the picture. She says if I hadn't been so stubborn about insisting on the truth, her relationship with her children wouldn't be destroyed. She's claiming the twins wouldn't be suing her if I had just pretended to be their dad. The twins have reached out to me too, not to blame me, but to thank me for insisting on the truth despite their mother's lies. They've asked if I would be willing to provide testimony about what happened during and after my divorce from their mother to support their case against her. They also apologized for their earlier messages and for believing their mother's lies about me. I'm completely torn about what to do. On one hand, I feel terrible for these kids who were manipulated by their mother their entire lives. They deserve to know the truth about their origins, and they have every right to be angry with their mother for lying to them. On the other hand, I finally moved on with my life and have a new family, and don't want to get dragged back into my ex's drama. My current wife thinks I should help the twins because they're innocent victims in all this, but I'm worried about the potential stress and disruption to our lives. My lawyer says I could provide a written statement rather than appearing in court, but that might not have the same impact. The twins' lawyer has also reached out, saying my testimony would be valuable to their case. Am I the a-hole if I decide not to get involved? Do I owe these kids my help after everything their mother put me through? Or should I just provide the written statement and wash my hands of the whole situation? I never wanted to be part of this mess, but I also know what it's like to be lied to by this woman, and I feel sympathy for what these kids must be going through. Edit. Thank you all for the overwhelming response. I never expected this post to get so much attention. I'm reading through all your comments and will try to respond to as many as I can. Just to clarify a few common questions. 1. Yes, the twins' biofather has taken a DNA test confirming paternity. 2. I haven't decided yet whether to testify or provide a statement. And 3. I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow to discuss my options. Update 1. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support on my original post. Reading through the comments and messages gave me a lot to think about, and I've spent the past few days really processing everything. This whole situation has been overwhelming, but the kindness and encouragement from strangers on the internet have truly helped me gain some perspective. As planned, I met with my lawyer, and we had a long and detailed discussion about my options. She reassured me that while I have no legal obligation to get involved in the twins' lawsuit against their mother, my testimony could be valuable to their case. She also made it clear that my involvement could be limited to minimize disruption to my personal life, which was one of my biggest concerns. After careful thought and a lot of discussion with my wife, I've decided to help the twins. At the end of the day, they are innocent in all of this. They didn't ask for any of the lies, deception, or emotional turmoil their mother put them through. They deserve the truth, and if my statement can help them find closure and justice, then I feel it's the right thing to do. I agreed to provide a detailed written statement outlining everything that happened, from the time my ex-wife and I were married, to the discovery of her affair, to the way she misled the twins about their father. In addition to the statement, I've agreed to be deposed, which means I'll have to give sworn testimony before the case goes to trial. However, I've requested to avoid appearing in court if possible. The twins' lawyer was understanding of my position and assured me they would only call to testify in person if it was absolutely necessary. Yesterday, I met the twins in person for the first time since they were babies, back when my ex would randomly show up with them, trying to guilt me into playing a role in their lives that I never agreed to. Now they're 18, and meeting them as young adults was surreal. They're intelligent, well-spoken, and clearly struggling with everything they've learned. They told me about the evidence they've gathered against their mother, including text messages where she continued lying to them even after the DNA test, claiming I had somehow manipulated the results. Hearing that made me both angry and sad. Angry that she continued to spin her lies, and sad that they spent their entire lives believing a completely false version of events. Then they told me something that absolutely broke my heart. Throughout their childhood, their mother painted me as a deadbeat dad who had abandoned them. She used me as a cautionary tale, saying things like, "This is why your father left. He couldn't handle the responsibility of having children." They grew up thinking that their own father didn't love them, that they weren't worthy of his presence, all while having no idea that I wasn't actually their father at all. The weight of that realization hit me hard. I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for them, spending years wondering why they weren't enough, all because of their mother's lies. On a more positive note, the twins have met with their biological father twice now. They described the meetings as awkward but hopeful. He brought his wife to the second meeting, and they seemed genuinely interested in getting to know the twins. It's obviously a complicated situation, especially since he has other children who are 12, 10, and 8. But he hasn't shut the door on the possibility of building a relationship with them. I hope, for their sake, that something good can come from this, and that they can find some sense of belonging with their biological father and his family. As for my ex, she continues to call and text, alternating between apologizing and blaming me for everything. I've had enough of her nonsense, so I blocked her number and told her that any communication moving forward needs to go through my lawyer. Her latest claim is that she's going to countersue me for interfering in her relationship with her children. My lawyer laughed when I told her this and assured me that my ex has absolutely no legal ground to stand on. Her attempts to shift blame onto me are just another example of her refusing to take responsibility for the mess she created. The twins mentioned that they've started seeing a therapist to work through everything, which I think is a really smart decision. They also asked me if I would consider attending a therapy session with them to talk about the past. I haven't given them a solid answer yet. I want to be supportive, but at the same time, I don't want to get too emotionally entangled in a situation that has already taken such a toll on my life. I told them I would think about it, and I truly am. I just need to make sure I'm setting boundaries that protect my own well-being as well. Through all of this, my wife has been an absolute rock. She reminded me that helping these young adults find closure doesn't mean I'm reopening old wounds. It means I'm helping them heal from the wounds their mother inflicted. That really stuck with me. I spent so many years trying to move on from my ex's betrayal that I never really stopped to think about how much damage she had done beyond just our marriage. These kids lived with the consequences of her lies every single day. If I can help them finally move forward, then I think it's worth it. I'll update again as things continue to unfold. The legal process is just beginning, and I have no doubt that my ex will continue trying to make this as messy as possible. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the right side of this. Thank you again for all your support and advice. It has truly helped me navigate this incredibly difficult situation. Update 2. The day after my last update, I received an unexpected call from the twins' biological father. He had gotten my number from the twins and wanted to speak with me directly. It was surreal talking to the man who had an affair with my ex-wife all those years ago, but the conversation was surprisingly civil. He apologized for his role in the affair, explaining that he truly believed my ex when she said we were in an open marriage. When he discovered the truth, he ended things immediately. He confirmed what the twins had told me. My ex never informed him about the pregnancy. He had moved to another state for a job opportunity about a month after ending the affair and had no idea he had fathered children. He seemed genuinely distressed about missing 18 years of their lives and angry at my ex for keeping this information from him. He also told me something I hadn't known. After the twins tracked him down, he hired his own private investigator to investigate the situation further. The PI discovered that my ex had actually gone to great lengths to hide the pregnancy from him. She had mutual friends block him on social media, changed her phone number, and even briefly moved to her parents' home in another city during the later stages of her pregnancy. The level of calculation involved is staggering. The most dramatic development came last night. My ex showed up at my house unannounced, clearly emotional, and possibly intoxicated. My wife was home with our children, and I was still at work. She refused to leave when my wife asked her to, and eventually, my wife had to call the police. By the time I got home, my ex had been escorted off our property with a warning, and my children were understandably upset by the disturbance. This morning, I filed for a restraining order against my ex. Her showing up at our home and frightening my family crossed a line I can't ignore. My lawyer is handling the paperwork, and we should have a temporary order in place by the end of the day. The twins called to apologize for their mother's behavior, which was completely unnecessary. They're not responsible for her actions. They informed me they've rejected the settlement offer and are proceeding with the lawsuit. They've also decided to legally change their last name to their biological father's name, which has apparently enraged my ex even further. The biological father has told the twins he's willing to pay for their college education, something my ex had apparently told them wouldn't be possible due to her financial situation. This has further strained their already damaged relationship with their mother. I'm exhausted by all this drama, but I remain committed to supporting the twins through this process. Their resilience in the face of such life-altering revelations is remarkable. My wife and I have invited them to dinner next week to meet our children, as they expressed interest in getting to know their half-siblings, though of course our adopted children aren't biologically related to their biological father, but the sentiment is sweet. I'll update again when there are significant developments. Right now, I'm focused on protecting my family from my ex's increasingly erratic behavior, while still supporting the twins as they seek justice and closure. Update 3. The past few days have been a complete whirlwind, filled with unexpected developments that I never could have predicted. I'm still trying to process everything that's happened, but I wanted to provide an update since so many of you have been following this story and offering support. First and foremost, the restraining order against my ex was officially granted, which provides some peace of mind for me and my family. She's now legally prohibited from coming within 500 feet of our home, my workplace, or our children's schools. While I had hoped this would encourage her to finally take a step back and reflect, it seems to have pushed her even further into desperation. The day after the restraining order was issued, my ex apparently had a complete meltdown at her house. According to the twins, she destroyed several rooms, tearing up old photo albums and shattering dishes, and even breaking family heirlooms that had been passed down for generations. The twins, who had been staying with friends to avoid the escalating tension, couldn't get in touch with her, and eventually went to check on her. What they found was disturbing. She was in a manic state, crying hysterically and barely coherent. They called an ambulance, and she was taken to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. She's now on a 72-hour psychiatric hold, but the doctors have the option to extend it if they determine she's a danger to herself or others. The twins are understandably shaken by everything that's happened, but at the same time, they're relieved that she's finally getting professional help. Their grandparents, my ex's parents, flew in from another state as soon as they heard what happened. They've taken over handling the situation and working with the hospital to ensure she gets the care she needs. I haven't had direct contact with them, but from what the twins tell me, they're deeply concerned and feeling a lot of guilt for not stepping in sooner. In a surprising but ultimately positive turn, the twins' biological father and his wife have offered to take the twins in while everything gets sorted out. At first, the twins weren't sure how they felt about it, but after talking it through, They've decided that some distance from all this chaos may be good for them. They'll be temporarily moving to his home in a neighboring state next week. It's a huge adjustment, but given everything they've learned about their mother's deception and the emotional roller coaster they've been on, I think this is a smart decision. They need space, stability, and time to process everything. Because of my ex's current situation, the lawsuit is on hold for now. The twins' lawyer advised them that moving forward with legal action while their mother is in a psychiatric crisis could be seen as unnecessarily aggressive, which might harm their case. They've agreed to pause proceedings for at least 30 days and then reevaluate. In the midst of all this turmoil, the twins still came over for dinner as planned to meet my wife and our children. Despite the heavy circumstances surrounding everything, it was actually a really nice evening. My children were a little confused about the complicated family dynamics, but they warmed up to the twins quickly. My 8-year-old daughter was especially excited to show them her prize rock collection, and my 10-year-old son challenged them to a video game competition, which they all got way too into, but in the best way possible. It was the first time in a long time that I saw the twins just be normal teenagers without the weight of their mother's lies hanging over them. Meanwhile, their biological father has wasted no time in stepping up. He's officially set up college funds for both of them, which is a huge relief since their mother had previously told them that college might not be financially possible. It's clear that while this situation is complicated, he's making a genuine effort to be there for them. I imagine it'll be a long road towards fully establishing their relationship, but the fact that he's taking responsibility and actively supporting them is a huge step in the right direction. Yesterday, I received an unexpected call from my ex's father. We hadn't spoken in years, not since the divorce. He thanked me for being honest with the twins despite how difficult the situation has been, and even apologized for his daughter's behavior. He told me something I hadn't known before. My ex has struggled with mental health issues since she was a teenager, but she always resisted treatment. Their family had tried to encourage her to seek help over the years, but she either downplayed the severity of her struggles or outright refused. He's hoping that this crisis will finally be the push she needs to get long-term help. As for me, I've decided to take a step back for a little while. With my ex in the hospital, the lawsuit on pause, and twins moving to their biological father's house, there's finally a natural break in the chaos. My lawyer has all the necessary information to represent my interests when the lawsuit resumes, and I've assured the twins that they have my full support whenever they need it. Right now, my main focus is on my own family, my wife and our kids, who have shown incredible patience and understanding throughout this entire ordeal. To give us all a much-needed breather, we're planning a vacation for spring break, somewhere completely unrelated to all this drama, where we can just relax and enjoy being together. I want to sincerely thank everyone who has followed this journey and offered advice and provided support. When I first posted, I was confused and conflicted about my role in all of this. I never expected to be dragged back into my ex's mess, and I struggled with whether I should even get involved. But through all of your encouragement, I realized that doing the right thing, helping the twins get the truth they deserved, was more important than avoiding discomfort. I don't know what the future holds for my ex, the twins, or their relationship with their biological father, but I do know that no matter how painful, the truth needed to come out. These young adults deserve to know where they came from, and now, at least, they have a chance to build their futures on a foundation of honesty rather than manipulation. I'll post another update if any major developments occur, but for now, I'm stepping back and focusing on healing, moving forward, and prioritizing the people who matter most in my life. Thank you all again for your support. It's meant more than you know.